Vice President Kamala Harris told people this was going to happen, how Trump was going to act and behave, and she reiterated that on Saturday night when she accepted her award from the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, ALC. Here is what she had to say when she picked up her Phoenix Award.
Good evening, everyone. Let me thank CBCF Foundation Chair, Congresswoman Terry Sewell, for that beautiful introduction. And I thank CBC Chair, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, and all of the CBC members, all of the award winners, and everyone gathered here for your long-standing leadership and support. As a former, and I consider myself lifetime member of CBC, I am deeply honored to receive this award. For more than half a century, the CBC has not only been the conscience of the Congress, but a conscience of America, fighting for opportunity, for equality, and for freedom. With your help, 75 million Americans stood with us last year on behalf of a stronger America. Stood with a belief in the promise of America. And today the CBC, in the tradition of its founders, confronts an unprecedented but not unfamiliar threat to that promise. The United States Congress has equal power to the executive branch in our constitutional government. And your work, then, is more important than ever, especially as your colleagues bend the knee and fail to uphold their constitutional duty. With each day, we are witnessing a president who has lined his own pockets and those of the super rich while he raises tariffs on the backs of working people, cuts SNAP and Medicaid, ignores science, ends the war on cancer, and deploys the United States military to the streets of America. And let us be clear, we predicted all that. But CBC, what I did not predict was the capitulation. The universities, law firms, media corporations, the titans of industry who have been so quick to kneel before a tyrant. But I'll tell you who refuses to capitulate: the people. When a president with a fragile ego couldn't take a joke and brought down the weight of the federal government to silence the voice of a citizen, folks spoke with their pocketbooks this week, and Jimmy Kimmel is now back on the air. And when Dr. Jamal Bryant issued a call to speak with your pocketbooks, the power of the people was also demonstrated. A time such as this demands that the leaders in this room remind the people of their power. Speak truth and speak with courage, even when you don't have all the answers. A time such as this demands that we win the midterms and enforce checks and balances on this unchecked, incompetent, unhinged president. Yesterday, I had the joy of visiting students at my alma mater, Howard University. You know. And while I was there, I remembered when I was their age, I got to Howard when I was 17. When was their age, Ronald Reagan was president. And the extreme right wing was hatching the long-term agenda that is being swiftly implemented today, enhanced today by propaganda and misinformation. And recall, they played the long game, working for decades to take over state houses, gerrymander districts, stack the Supreme Court, and create the radical blueprint currently being used by this administration. As I have written, the current president is their vehicle, but the road was paved over decades by a hot and pungent brew. Ronald Reagan's celebrity, the belligerent discourse of Newt Gingrich, and the nativism of Pat Buchanan. CBC, we have some deep work to do. At first, I would offer we must prioritize immediacy. Focus on the immediate issues that people face, like the rising cost of groceries, housing, and childcare. Second, we cannot allow them to gaslight us by suggesting that the powerless and not the powerful are responsible for our predicament. And finally, please let's get over the savior complex, which suggests one individual can save us. Come on. Because Democrats, we have so many stars. We have so many stars, and many of them are in this room right now. You are the leaders who are up for the fight. You are leaders who have courage. You are leaders who speak truth. Leaders who know that at a time such as this, it demands one thing for sure. We must fight fire with fire. So CBC, let's get to work. Thank you.
The point she makes there, Mustafa, I think is a critical one. That is, it is a call, it is a charge, what needs to happen, and to understand that what we are looking at 2 blocks from where we sit right now is an individual who is a grave threat, an individual and a party that is a grave threat to the future of Black America.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, I often use the phrase, you have power unless you give it away. You know, we've got to make sure that we are actually helping to build power. So the vice president talked about, you know, a multitude of leaders are needed. You know, our dear sister Ella Baker often, you know, made sure that we understood that there's not just one person who has a responsibility, but that also means that we have to have an understanding of the dynamics and the needs that exist inside of our communities. And all the folks that are sitting in that dinner, I hope that they are actually spending time on the ground with folks. So yes, we have this threat that's going on, but we have to build up our people and make sure they understand that each and every one of us is a leader and that we can make change in our own communities. And then by coming together, we can build, you know, this coalition that is so necessary. But often we don't want to spread the power around. So I think that has to be a part of addressing what's going on by the person who's now sitting in the White House and who are the folks who are running these agencies. So we have the opportunity. We just got to make sure that we're taking advantage of it.
Tyler?
Yeah, I would also say it's something that, you know, everyone in that room, you know, all knows. And I think the strategy is how we take that out of that room, but take it to communities so they're able to understand and comprehend that this is a reminder to us all that our resistance must be paired with vision, and we must have people who aren't scared to fight fire with fire, because we all know that fear exists, but it does, and we know it's real. But because we have to understand that we move with that fear in service of something that's bigger that we know that we're fighting for, that we know that we're fighting for freedom and liberation for all Black people. We deserve not only to survive, but to thrive. And in order to do that, it requires an unafraid leadership, willing to dream, to act out boldly, and to stand 10 toes down. But it requires us to move not only in those spaces, but take it back to the community, to those who may not, hear that type of conversation every single day.
Larry?
Roland, really quickly here. She said something that I think a lot of people missed, and she made the connection between Newt Gingrich, she mentioned him, the contract with America, she didn't say that, and Project 2025. For folks who don't understand how we got here, go back and look at the contract with America. She mentions a few of the Pat Buchanan, et cetera. It's been building to this. We didn't just arrive here. Newt Gingrich and the Gingrich Revolution is part of how we got to Project 2025. So I encourage people to go out and check out some of the, go back and look at the contract in America and impact on, policy in the United States. And remember that, Black people have encountered challenges like this in the past, and the CBC has always led the way. And we need to continue to see them to reach those heights again.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.